Andrey Santos' journey has been a really interesting one. The Brazilian midfielder has gone from a talented kid in Rio to becoming one of Chelsea's most important players.
Taking over here, Andrey Santos!
Finally, he's getting the recognition he deserves, and a big reason for that is his connection with Liam Rossinier.
So Liam, I love my ex-coach, so he's amazing. It's hard to say about Liam because he seems when I joined Strasbourg, so he helped me a lot. And I improved a lot with him. So in the last week I sent message to him because I always watch the game of Strasbourg, and I say to my new baby's coming, and he said to me congratulations, and I'm so happy for you. So I think our relationship is perfect.
And now they've been reunited at Chelsea. Because of Rossinier, Santos is playing some of the best football of his career. Rossinier often talks about the little things that Santos does that don't always show up on the stats.
I had a fantastic relationship with Andrey Santos last year.
The game flowing, someone who makes smart and simple decisions that help the team create chances even if he's the one not getting the assist. While fans are only now starting to see how good this guy really is, Chelsea had believed in his talent for years, going all the way back to his early days at Vasco da Gama. Santos joined their academy at a young age. He actually initially played futsal to lose weight. Guess Santos was a fat kid, but naturally he fell in love with the sport of football. He originally played in defense before swapping to midfield during his time in the academy. On the 6th of March 2021, at the age of 16, Santos made his professional debut for Vasco da Gama as an 85th minute sub. But it was really the 2022 season in Brazil's Serie B where everything changed. Vasco were fighting to get back to the top division, and at only 18 years old, Santos basically ran the midfield. He was the classic box-to-box engine. He could win duels, he covered huge ground, and was constantly driving the team forward. People started calling him the little monster because he played with so much intensity and wasn't afraid of older, more experienced opponents. In 33 league games, all as a starter, he scored 8 goals from midfield, which again, is pretty rare for someone that young playing in the center of the park. He could shoot from distance, attack crosses in the air, or carry the ball straight through the middle and finish calmly himself. He was the complete midfielder, someone who could defend, create, and score all at once. Big names in Brazilian football started noticing too. Juninho gave him massive praise, saying that on a technical level, he was already ahead of most players his age, and physically a beast. But what really stood out more than that was his mentality. Despite being so young, he always stayed calm, he worked very hard, and never lost his focus even when the games got tough. Looking back now, you can see that those early years at Vasco didn't just show his talent, but they also helped build the foundation for the player that he would eventually become at Chelsea. Now, one moment that really made Andrey Santos explode onto the world stage was during the 2023 South American Under-20 Championship. He was the captain for Brazil, and he just played like a leader from the start to the finish of the tournament. Brazil went on to win the whole thing, and Santos was of course at the center of it all. Even though he's naturally more of a midfielder who controls the game, he ended up finishing as the joint top goal scorer with 6 goals, which again tells you how complete his performances were. What made him really special was that he stepped up in the biggest moments. A perfect example came in the final against Uruguay. The game was very tight, nothing was happening, and then in the 84th minute, Santos scored a huge header that basically sealed the title for Brazil. Winning player of the tournament pushed his reputation to another level. European clubs were already watching him because of what he did at Vasco, but this competition confirmed that he could handle pressure and lead a team. So Chelsea, being obsessed with signing young players, moved quickly and signed him for reportedly around £12 million. The only problem was the work permit situation in England. Since he had been playing in Brazil's second division, he didn't have enough points right away, so he had to actually go back to Vasco on loan for a short period before his European journey could really begin. Now, the toughest part of Andrey Santos' journey actually came during his loan spell at Nottingham Forest. After a really strong preseason with Chelsea, where he looked super comfortable even against top Premier League teams, the plan was to send him out on loan so he could get more minutes and keep developing. On paper, it sounded perfect, but in reality, it turned into a frustrating period that really slowed down his momentum. At Forest, Santos barely got a chance to play. These guys already had a lot of experienced players, and he quickly fell down the pecking order behind names like Sangare, Dominguez, and Yates. Then the manager changed, with Nuno Espirito Santo coming in after Steve Cooper, and that just made things even harder for Santos. The team was fighting to stay in the league, so their focus shifted to survival rather than developing a young player on loan from another club. He played a couple of games, with just a few minutes in the Premier League and one full match in the Cup. Most weeks he wasn't even in the squad. Again, as I stated earlier, this wasn't about his talent or attitude. Even Steve Cooper admitted that if Santos had been their own player, he would have played more. Unfortunately, this was just a reality for young loanies at a club under pressure. Chelsea saw that things weren't working and decided to bring him back in January of 2024. What's interesting is that even during that difficult stretch, Santos stayed very professional. He didn't make any excuses or complain to the media. He was ready to just prove himself again once he got another opportunity. And Strasbourg was that next opportunity, and where Andrey Santos really took off. He joined the French side early in 2024, and that's because Rosinho trusted him with a big role and gave him the freedom to just play his game. At Strasbourg, Santos wasn't just sitting deep anymore. He was used as a true box-to-box midfielder. Since they played a 3-back, it allowed the Brazilian to push forward more often and get involved in the attacks. This is why he ended up getting 10 league goals in one season, making him one of the highest scoring midfielders in Ligue 1. But it wasn't just about the scoring. He was also leading the league in tackles and putting up very strong defensive numbers, showing that he could dominate both sides of the game. I know two-way player is an American term in basketball, but that's the perfect way to describe what Andrey Santos was doing. What really also changed during that time was how people viewed him. Before, many saw him as just a powerful young midfielder with a lot of energy. In France though, he looked way smarter and more complete as a midfielder. He wasn't just a shin kicker. Rosinho often said that even though Santos was Brazilian, he wasn't flashy like a typical Brazilian midfielder. He was more about controlling games and popping up with big goals rather than making flashy back heels. Playing so many minutes in different tactical roles really helped Santos grow fast. By the end of that Strasbourg spell, he was more than just a talented prospect. He looked like a player ready for the intensity and demands of Premier League football, which is why he eventually returned to Chelsea. When he came back, there wasn't a lot of hype at first. He had come off a strong season at Strasbourg, but the midfield at Chelsea was already packed, with Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez being ahead of him. Lavia too, but that brother's never healthy. Early on, his role felt a bit unclear, and he was just trying to find his place. It didn't seem like Maresca had a clear plan for him, but everything changed when Liam Rosinho arrived mid-season. Their old connection from Strasbourg instantly gave Santos confidence, and it felt like he finally had a coach who knew exactly how to use him. Instead of playing him as a goal-scoring box-to-box midfielder like he did in France, Rosinho shifted him to a deeper role. Now, Santos often sits at the base of the midfield, dropping between the center backs to help Chelsea build from the back. It's a position that demands a lot of calmness and smart decision making on the ball, because he's constantly receiving the ball under pressure on the half turn. But as he's played there more and more, you can see how much he's growing technically, like in the Carabao Cup against Arsenal, where he completed 43 out of 44 passes. He's becoming more and more reliable in tight spaces. It's crazy because he went from being on the edge of the squad as just a rotational option to becoming one of the most important tactical pieces in Rosinho's system. Whether it's controlling duels in the midfield, helping transitions, or just keeping the possession moving, Santos is very much one of the players that sets the rhythm for the team. Again, as I stated earlier, under Maresca, it felt like he didn't really know what Santos' best role was. One minute he was being described as more of an attacking midfielder, someone closer to an Enzo Fernandez, and then later he was being talked about as a pure number 6. That uncertainty made it hard for him to fully settle because the expectations around him kept changing. With Rosinho though, there's zero confusion. Santos has a very clear job in this Chelsea team. He's the deepest midfielder, even deeper than Caicedo when he plays with him. His job is to constantly show for the ball, whether it's from the center backs or from the keeper, and keep things simple with smart, safe passes. He's not trying to do anything flashy. His job is to control the rhythm and make sure that Chelsea always have a calm outlet during the build-up. Because Santos stays so deep and disciplined, it's actually freed up Caicedo to play a bit higher up and be more aggressive around the ball. You can see it in the game against Crystal Palace, where Santos holds his position while Caicedo steps forward to press or carry the play. That balance in midfield is one of the biggest reasons why Chelsea look more stable now compared to earlier in the season. You saw the same thing happen in the game against Napoli. Off the ball against Crystal Palace, you really have to see how disciplined Santos has become. Because yes, he's sitting deep, but he's not just sitting there playing with his balls watching the game. He was given the job of tracking Brennan Johnson closely. When Johnson tried to move into dangerous areas, Santos followed him all the way back. even into Chelsea's own box when needed. It showed how much trust Rosignol has in him defensively. He's not just there to pass the ball and keep the play ticking. He's also responsible for shutting down key threats and doing the dirty work that keeps the backline protected. Thanks to Santos, the dynamic of Chelsea's midfield has changed. Now Caicedo doesn't have to sit back and protect the backline all by himself. He's free to roam, win the ball higher up the pitch, and even make runs in the box where his shooting ability can become a real weapon. We've seen how Caicedo has added more goals to his game. At the same time, Enzo Fernandez also gets more freedom to focus on creating chances in advanced areas because he knows that Santos is sitting right behind them. You could see this balance in the Palace game again. Santos stayed disciplined and central, always close to the defenders, while Caicedo covered more ground and pushed forward when the moment was right. Their roles complement each other perfectly. Santos is now the one providing stability, while Caicedo continues to add energy and aggression, especially going forward. One of the biggest reasons why Santos has been so important in this new role is how calm he is on the ball. In today's Premier League, one of the hardest phases is that first phase, getting the ball safely from the keeper into the midfield. Santos, though, he makes it look very simple. He's always available, even when the pressure is on him, and he plays the passes that get Chelsea moving forward instead of struggling at the back, which is a problem that Chelsea had a lot, partly down to the midfield, but more because they have inexperienced center backs. But now Chelsea don't look messy in these moments because they have Santos keeping the team more controlled. On top of that, what makes Santos really valuable is how flexible he is tactically. Chelsea don't just play in one fixed shape under Rosignol. The system shifts constantly. Sometimes Santos drops into the back line and turns it almost into a 5-man defense. Other times, especially when Chelsea break forward, he steps into the midfield and carries the ball like he used to at Vasco. That ability to switch between a number 6 and a more dynamic role is rare, and it's why he looks like one of the most complete young midfielders in the world. His influence also goes beyond the pitch. He's become a key figure among Chelsea's Brazilian players, helping guys like Estevão settle into the club. He's almost like a bridge between the South American group and Rosignol's tactical ideas, helping everyone stay on the same page. People overlook these kind of connections, but at the end of the day, it's not career mode. All these guys are human, and having a player like Santos in the squad helps the team be more organized, and for the lack of a better word, increases the vibes. Now, Santos is still not one of those players who's gonna get the headlines. Palmer, Enzo, Caicedo, they're all going to get talked about more. But to those that watch Chelsea play, they'll know this Brazilian is now essential to how the team works. We're not talking about him as a future prospect anymore. He's already a key piece of Chelsea's identity. And if his growth continues like this, it's easy to see him becoming a long-term leader at the highest level of European football. To see the other players who have been improved massively by Liam Rosignol, you have to check out this video right here.